This is the Rodney Bull Show, bringing you truth about money they never taught you. Now, here's your host, the man himself, Rodney Bull.
G'day, legends, and what's cracking, money stackers? Welcome back to the Rodney Bull Show. Today's guest brings a powerful perspective on something most people don't talk enough about, the emotional side of money. Suzanne Leydecker is the author of A Woman on Top, a memoir about love, money, boundaries, and self-discovery after unexpectedly inheriting significant wealth later in life. What followed wasn't freedom like many would expect. It was a journey through guilt, identity, relationships, and learning how money can shape the way we love, give, and live. And what I like about Suzanne's message is this: money doesn't fix what's broken inside us. It often just exposes it. This one's going to be a powerful conversation, folks. So strap in, and let's get into it. Suzanne Leydecker, welcome to the show, mate.
Oh my God, I don't know where you got that bio, but that's the best thing I've ever heard because some of them sound so, organized, and what you just read is actually what really just happened.
That's
So
awesome.
whoever
Thank you.
made that, I'm gonna have to thank them.
That's awesome. I was pretty impressed with it myself, actually. I just wish I could have had a better memory to be able to retain it all in my
No,
head,
no,
so I
it
could
was
just lay it out
beautifully.
there without reading from it,
Yeah,
from a
well,
script. But anyway, not to worry. It's a real
I'm so
pleasure to
happy
have
to
you on
be
here
here.
today, mate.
Thank
Just for the audience knowledge, we've had a fantastic chat beforehand, leading into before we hit record today. The conversation we had prior to this recording would make a fabulous podcast in itself, I believe. But we might have to lay that one on for another day, I think. We'll get into this one for now. Could you just give people a little bit of a rundown of your history, please, Suzanne?
you.
And then we'll get into some questions, eh?
Yes. So I never thought I was going to write a book. No, I have a really good head for numbers, and I managed to, like not listen to my English teacher in high school and not even take an English class in college. I don't know how I graduated without that, but had no intention of writing a book. And it all started when I inherited some money when I was 47. So that was in 2007. I always know what year I am because I mean the exact year that the number,
Yeah.
would be 37. I was 47 and I met somebody shortly after that, like 2 months after. And receiving money, no matter what it is, I don't have a ton of money. I don't own a plane or a boat or whatever, but it was way more than I got. And I was raising three children by myself. And so I was thankful that I knew that for the rest of my life I could take care of them and me. And for that, I was very, very grateful. But I did what most people who win the lottery and get a lot of money from inheritance or divorce or whatever, I think we were talking about that earlier. I spent like crazy. I thought that I was invincible. Um, I gave this boyfriend, I wanted him to feel more empowered, and I wrote him a huge check for his birthday. And then the next year, I wrote him a smaller check, but really huge. And he could barely pull it out of my hand because I didn't want to give it to him. That was pretty much the beginning of the end because I gave too much too fast and I didn't have any boundaries. And I did this not only in love, but I did it in business as well. I what I would give to get back some of that money that I just blew, but it is what it is. Now I'm in a more realistic place in my financial life where I have a lot of homes. I did very well in real estate. I don't have a ton of cash, but I was telling you before, people just keep asking me for money, asking, and I keep giving and I keep giving, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't think this is really working for anybody. Not for
Yeah.
them. 'Cause you can't give money to someone if they don't know how to handle it. It'll
No.
just
And they
go
won't
through their
respect it.
it just doesn't work. So, my history, when that boyfriend, the last time he left my house, I said, I am going to write a book called A Woman of Means. And he said, You can't write a book about money. You know nothing about it. And he was absolutely right. I was horrified at the time. I'm like, Yes, I do. But he was absolutely right, and I was absolutely wrong. I didn't know anything. And it took me the next 17 years to try to figure out my relationship with money. And the book eventually got named, as you said, A Woman on Top, My Journey of Self-Discovery Through Love and Money. So I wrote it as a memoir, and the very beginning of it, I think people love because it talks about my personal journey of what I learned in my family
Yep.
from my grandparents, from my parents, who made the money, who spent the money, who was a bigger spender, and who got the allowance, who got, and whatever. And I think it takes people back into their childhood to recognize how what they learned. And then, obviously, you carry that forward into your relationship, and then your partner comes in with one thing and you come in with another, and that needs to be worked out to have a successful relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and if you want to know something about yourself, if your life's a mess, just write a book. Because I forced myself, for 1.5 years, I let it go. I didn't do it. Then when I went back, I finally was like, I have to finish. I'm going to finish. I wanted to change everything. I'm like, oh, I don't feel that way anymore. And I forced myself to leave my feelings that I had at 17 be the feelings I had at 17 to the best of my recollection. Same thing throughout the book. And I wrote the down and dirty. I didn't just write about how bad they were, whoever they was. I wrote about how I took a plate off a wall and smashed it into 1,000 pieces because I was so mad at myself for not having any boundaries. I
Yeah.
don't ever want to smash a plate on the floor again. It wasn't that fun to clean up. No,
I'm
it was
sure it
miserable.
wasn't. But that's I guess that's part of the journey, eh? And like you said about how you thought and what you felt about things at the age of 17, well, that was real for you then at the time.
Yes.
We can all look back on ourselves, for 10, 15, 20 years ago, depends on what age you are, and who you were then and the way you thought about things and felt about things then is totally different to the way you look at things and feel about things now. So, but you should not shy away from how things were for you at that time. So that's
Yeah,
really
and
nice
you
to
can
hear that you
forgive,
shared the truth about how things were at
share
that
all.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. So from my book came these three pillars, which are smattered all throughout the book. And I didn't know when I was finished that they were going to become these pillars, which are personal responsibility. If
Yeah.
you need to clean up your side of the street, do it. Say no if it's not a hell yeah. The only time that doesn't count is, especially for the ladies out there, don't sit on your couch when somebody invites you to the party. Oh, I don't feel like going. Get your ass out of the up off the couch and go to the party. I'm talking about saying no if it's not a hell yeah, if somebody's asking for financial help or you're playing, you like to go surfing and your boyfriend likes to ride bikes and you never get to surf. Well, say something. Let's go surfing. He's like, sure, there's surfboards in the garage. Let's go. And the last thing that made such a difference for in my life, and I really didn't know how to uh, use until I did, was not taking things personally. And I had one moment where everything changed, and I was like, "Oh my God, I did something differently, and I got different results, and nobody was mad at me." And so I started applying that everywhere in my life. And so I know if I'm fearful, if I'm sad, if I'm lonely, if I'm upset, if I'm angry, I'm taking something personally. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
That person doesn't like me, or why did they do this to me, or what it wasn't my fault, or all these things. And so I now have a immediate trigger. And that includes when my children all get together and they roll their eyes. Oh, we've heard that story before. Oh, I can't believe you're talking so loud. Like you always talk so loud. Oh, why didn't you go to the grocery store? They think it's funny. They're tee. That's really funny. I'm like, oh, they don't like me. But I'm not doing that anymore. I said I will never go on a family vacation and cry. And I don't think until like a year and a half ago, ever made it on a family vacation without crying at some point. And I love my children. I would look forward to months, in advance. And then they got there, and then they would say something that just hit me sideways. And
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So what I'm trying to do here, because I've made this my life work, is encourage and support 17-year-olds and 27, 37, and 47 and 57s to learn the lessons ahead of time. So maybe you don't have to repeat all the things that I went through.
Yeah.
So that's my goal is to help for women. And as we talked about before, strangely enough, more men have read my book. I know because I can see the Amazon reviews. It's very strange. Um, but to live our best lives now,
Yeah.
and recognize that if you can stop taking things personally and get your own little meter check, then your life's going to be much happier, much
Hell
less
yeah, it
drama,
is. Hell yeah, it is.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And as
that
far as
that's
we know, we only get this one life, so you
yeah,
should really
we don't
focus on
really
it.
know that either, do we? And we were talking a little bit before about financial literacy, and I think that this is a huge part of this. That is called the personal responsibility piece.
Yeah.
Understanding and making money is good. I just had somebody recently tell me, I hate money, I hate money. And it was like, that's not going to work. We have this thing called money, which somebody invented as a barter system a long time ago, or a post-barter system. And I think that I love what I know about you now, and I can't wait to find out more because you're here to teach people about how to live successfully financially. And I'm here to support you in that, to teach them how to love and make money with the emotional component
Yeah. And
that
that's
doesn't
key.
allow you to take things personally and
That's absolutely key.
inspires you to do better, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you very much. That I love them words because it's all tied together, and you have to learn to get the self-awareness and take the personal responsibility of all of them things to be able to work out how to make it actually work for you in your life and your situation, because we're all living our own lives, and they're all similar but all very, very different. So they are key aspects that you have to learn about all of them things. And if you don't go after it yourself, nobody's likely going to bring it to your self-awareness for
yeah.
you and just
What,
hand it to you on a plate.
yeah. One thing's just coming up for me that I think it's interesting is that what people tend to do, I tend to do, I smashed my toe into a freaking steel weight today and I think I broke it. And I'm like, why me? Why does everything happen to me? In my head. Now, I can't say that outside my head because I'm trying to teach people not to say, why me in my head. But I think it's super important when you're trying to build your financial literacy and make money in your life is that all this stuff happens to everybody.
Yeah,
God did not specifically pick you out and say, we're going to make this really hard
just for
on you.
you, just for
Just for
you.
you,
Yeah,
because everyone's busy thinking that they're the only ones, because they're not talking about because they're afraid or they feel embarrassed or whatever is that we talked a little bit about this before. Sometimes you just got to keep going and put one foot in front of the other. Literally, I might have to do that on crutches. But to keep going in whatever you're like I don't make any money I shared with you yet by doing my work I do it out of the goodness of my heart, but I sure would like to make some, so maybe I can keep doing it.
you and me both.
Gotta make
You and
money
me both.
somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a love project at the moment. This cost me um, all money going out and none coming in. So
Okay,
it's
so we're in the same boat. So I just want all you listeners out there to recognize that both Rodney and I are doing this out of the generosity of our heart to make a difference in the world today.
yeah,
And that
100%.
is not there's not a lot of people that can say that, but take the information
Yes.
that this man is giving you and use it.
Love them words. Love them words, and especially what's coming from you because and out of your book, because it's very important that people come to understand them three pillars, especially that you focus on. They're just so important. They really are.
Yeah.
Got a question here for you. A lot of
Yeah.
people believe more money will solve my problems, but what did
Mm.
you learn about that belief that once you actually had it?
Well, it doesn't solve all your problems. It does, like, it gives you more creature comforts. But I was just sharing with a man today. I was working out in my garage, which is why I hit my toe on the weight. And I was telling him that my life right at this particular moment is so busy that I live in this beautiful place in Aspen, Colorado. And well, now I really can't ride my bike, but I don't have any time to ride my bike because I'm so busy trying to make all the juggle all the balls. So more money doesn't necessarily bring more happiness. Some people seem to have it figured out where they just live high on the horse and they don't have to do anything. I didn't get that for sure. And I think that I have a TED Talk prepared, which I've not yet done because I'm petrified. One, I want to find the right stage, but two, I'm petrified that I won't be able to memorize 13 minutes worth of stuff. I would have to practice for like a year.
Me too. I
Um,
think probably 2 years.
right? But it's all about how our whatever our net worth is, our esteem is always going to go back to our self-worth.
Yeah.
So if you do receive a chunk of money, either from selling your business, your parents die, you win the lottery, get divorced from it. If you don't have a high sense of self-esteem and self-worth, the money is just going to run straight through your fingers.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
right, it's really super important to not give away the house immediately. What I did with all the boyfriends is I just like, here, I wanted to create, I mean, I was really doing it just to be nice. I wanted to create equality. Well, equality is not going to be so until you give them half. And I'm smart enough to know that if I had given them half, I wouldn't have that half anymore. They would have taken it.
Yeah. I
They
guess
would have
for me
taken
that probably makes me think along the lines that doing what you did there, in a sense, you possibly were like buying trying to buy love because of
yeah,
your own personal self-worth,
yes,
where you where
very
you where you
true.
held yourself with your own self-worth. Would that be correct?
Yes. And I mean, I did amazing things. I dated somebody who was on the US ski team and I traveled all over the world with them for a period of years, my ex-husband who moved to town. And so right about the same time I was dating him. And so I was able to, meet all the best ski racers in the world and live in Europe. And I was like, this is great. But my sense of self-esteem was relatively low because I grew up in a family where there was a lot of trauma. My dad just wasn't a nice guy. He did this one thing correctly. He died of Alzheimer's, but he did this one thing correctly and left this life insurance policy, which I really had no idea whether it would come due or not. I had no idea. So when the actual check showed up by regular mail, I don't know, I don't know, that was in 2007. Didn't we have FedEx or something? First two checks got lost. I'm like, what? I was just floored. And there is no way, unless you listen to someone like me and take my advice, that you're not going to blow some of the money. And some people, my brother lost it all. He didn't have a dime, nothing.
Yeah. Wow.
Um,
So what do you
I
reckon
mean,
in regards to that? What problems got bigger for you, and what did money actually expose in you?
yeah, well, the same things that a lottery winner, I've done a lot of research on lottery winners because it kind of feels like when you inherit money, like you're winning the lottery. If nobody teaches you the emotional component and how to, I had the financial skills to do really well with it. I had that in my pocket. I just didn't have the emotional skills, but we can look to lottery winners and we know there's a lot of different research, so you have to kind of combine the things from all different places, but
Yeah.
in general, people that inherit money, especially if they inherit a lot, they can't even go to the grocery store. But let's just say you inherit like $10 million, $5 million, not 254 million. That's I no, that just seems like a nightmare. Um, and we talked about do those people continue to live, or do the relatives, put the poison in the oatmeal? But for people that are inheriting more than they have in their job and their bank account and a certain rational amount, they don't generally know how to finance it. You don't have, I did, but most people don't. You have to educate yourself and your parents if it's coming from, your parents, it's their responsibility, I think, to teach you the emotional stuff and they don't teach it to you because they don't know it.
No, no.
Secondly,
And
you
it's
don't
not
know
their
who your
fault that
friends.
they don't know.
No, it's not. Absolutely. We talked about this a lot. Secondly, they all of a sudden Uncle Joe and Aunt Sue and cousin whatever and your best friend are all going, I need money. You have to help me. I need money. I'm desperate. I gave it all to cryptocurrency. And, for people like me that have a soft heart, I mean, I'm a caregiver by every stretch of the imagination like nobody's business. So when somebody asks me for money, it's very hard. I just learned to say no just yesterday. I'm not saying yes to anyone. I'm going to say yes when I feel like it, not when
That's
they ask
awesome.
me all day long.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Well, it was
Well
like
done.
God was like, yeah. So you don't know who your friends are. You Most lottery winners, the facts are that you lose it within 3 to 5 years. You have nothing. You've
Yeah.
spent that whole $10 million dollars and you have not, maybe you have an expensive boat that you have no money to take care of it. So you have to sell that eventually. We were talking about something that's a very similar, it's like a snowball effect. And the last thing is that a lot of lottery winners kill themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Sadly.
documented.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because tell me that they're killing themselves because they're so happy because they just got $10 million. They're miserable because they don't know how to handle it. They don't understand the,
Yeah.
thing. I was very lucky because I was able to do well while I was learning all this. So I inherited the money when I was 47. I finished my book when I was 63. So that's what, 16 years later. 26 years, no, 16 years later. All the while kind of struggling along until I really uncovered these pillars. And I was like, oh, I know how to do this. And I started practicing, especially with the children or with, some friends said something the other day that really hurt my feelings. And I was like, uh-oh. So, I redirected the conversation. Thank you very much for sharing, and it lingered with me because I was taking it personally, but
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing any more than they do. So, like, what are you telling me how to live my life?
It's so true,
How
but
does
hey,
how does
learning
me
not to
dating
take.
something, yeah, yeah. How does me dating something somewhere have anything to do with your life and
Yeah.
where you're telling me what to do? I was like, oh, I'm taking that so personally. Oh, I deserve to take that personally. Not gonna help.
No. No, no, and it's a
No.
big one. The self-awareness side of things to get to know that you are taking something personally, and that you really shouldn't be taking it personally, because ultimately, we can't control what anybody else thinks, says, or
Yeah.
does. So all you can control is what you think, say, or do, or how you let things affect you. If someone says something to you, whether you take it
Yeah.
deeply
And,
personally or
and I,
not, and then you've got to stop and think, why? Why am I taking it so personally? Why is it hitting me so hard? What nerve is that touching on?
Yeah, and I just want to reflect back on what we were talking about earlier. That's what I was trying to say is that, the world is really not that great of a place. We have a president who, I don't know, doesn't speak English. Um, and we've gone from, I can't even keep track of where we're heavy into Ukraine and then we went to Greenland and then we took over Venezuela and now we're, in Iran and that one will go away and then there's going to come another. We also can't control raising gas prices. We can't control. And my son who lives in Australia, I told you, he
Yeah,
tells people that he's from Canada. So I was like, well, where? Because he's like, I can't answer, especially a couple years ago.
yeah.
I was like, well, where in Canada are you from? And he's like, Ottawa. And I was like, good thing I know where you were born. I thought that was hysterical. I'm from Ottawa. He said with all confidence. He's like, I can't talk about this, but there's, peace and well-being and financial literacy and love and joy all start from within, from you.
Yeah,
So no matter whether you're 17 or 50 or what, however age you are, you're wasting your time if you think they're going to change.
No, no. The
Either
only
your
time
spouse
anything changes
or my
is if
president.
you change. When you change, things
Absolutely.
change.
And you know what? The thing is, it's really interesting. I told you about how I look forward to my kids coming on vacation. This is all happening. My son's coming from Australia and the other three, and they're all going to be there. And I'm paranoid, I'm petrified. I'm excited, but I'm not going to take things personally. But just throw things that I don't necessarily, they're not doing it to be mean. They're doing it because they think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. But oh gosh, I had something to say and I forgot what it was. Anyway, it all begins at home.
Yes, it does. Oh, and inside, most of importantly, inside you. So
Yes.
what you start doing in here and put out, emit out from there is what will then build your world
Yeah.
around you.
It's really interesting because I'm just thinking out loud about this right now is that I used to say something was bad and then I ended up going down the big rabbit hole of I'm not worthy and I'm not loved. And by the way, if you peel back the onion layers of any of the 8 billion people on the planet, I guarantee you it all goes back to I'm not worthy and I'm not lovable. And then when you try to do things like Rodney and I are trying to do, you end up with it something called an imposter syndrome, which we,
Yes.
we have we have discussed. And you know, you're like, I don't have the skills to teach this. I don't know what I'm doing. But now that this is just a brand new thought, just today, right now is that what's happened for me in my life is I don't go down the rabbit hole anymore. I can say, oh, this is a challenging day, even though this day is the best day of my life, but you know, I just broke my toe and I have to do things that I don't want to and whatever. But you know, I don't I won't go into crying on my couch that I'm the worst person that ever lived. But I used to, and I know there's people out there that do. I know it. And you know, it's just that you haven't had the proper tools or been taught by someone who's gone through it themselves, like me,
Yeah.
to tell you that you're okay. I know people tell you that, but it's a different kind of thing where if you have these tools, personal responsibility, learning how to say no, it's not a hell yeah, and taking not taking things personally, you have the tools to not end up down that path,
Yeah.
which is incredibly joyful.
Oh, and yes, very, very empowering and very uplifting too, because if you allow yourself to go down that path, it's quite detrimental to the way you think about things and the way things are happening for you in your life. Yeah, you actually, I find you magnify them to be way worse than what they are.
There are, and you know what, because you deal with financial literacy and trying to teach people, is that a lot of people that really get upset, you know what we do? Well, we go out and we drink, we smoke, but we also shop. We do things that are not in our best behavior because we're like, oh, I don't feel worthy. I'll just buy this new dress because whatever that you don't need. And it keeps the cycle going and your financials
Deplete,
net worth goes down.
self-worth
That
goes
is
down
not
with it then too.
self-worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the way to build up your net worth is to build up your self-worth. And I've actually done that because I've made the majority of my money in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this was happening. I mean, I was fine before I didn't. After I got off the initial, oh God, I have so much money, let's buy a boat. I reckoned a little. I was like, oh, this is not good. But yeah, and it can happen because you're just like, I am better than God. But you know, the reality is that you still take you with you wherever you go,
Yeah. So
you
true.
know,
So true.
darn it.
um, we've covering a lot of my questions here along the way intermittently, unfortunately. So some of these I'm trying to work which direction to go in so we don't double up too much. But we're covering some of it, we're not covering all of it. But anyway, we'll have a crack with a few more, eh? You've
Okay.
spoken openly about how money affected your relationship with men personally. How exactly does money change the power dynamic inside intimate relationships?
Good question, actually.
What what
So,
what do you feel like were patterns that you kept repeating?
yeah, easy. I kept repeating, saying, so I tell a story. May I use your Rodney and Evelyn, right?
Yep.
I'm just going to use this. No, we won't use those names. We'll use Sarah and Rob. So Rob meets Sarah, and she's just wonderful. She's powerful. She's empowered. She lights his fire. And so they start dating, and she does a little bit of, "Oh, Rob, what do you want to do tonight?" And he kind of just ignores it and puts up with it and was like, but I met an empowered woman that actually knows what she wants, so why is she not saying it? And then you move in together, and Sarah picks up the underwear and she picks up the towels and she goes to the grocery store every week. And then one day, she hasn't given any money. This is just a broad generalization. You don't even have to apply this to money, but if she has money, it's worse because then she's buying the groceries. One day she was like, "Rob, I am tired of picking up your underwear. Why don't you pick up your underwear yourself?" And you're like, Rob's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, babe. I didn't even know you were upset over it. You just were doing it. And why didn't you tell me?" And she's like, "Well, I didn't think I had to tell you." And then it gets even worse. She's like, "And by the way, Rob, I don't always like to go surfing. I like to ride mountain bikes." And he's like, "Well, we have two mountain bikes in the garage. Why didn't you just say, let's go mountain biking?" And then she breaks down and she's like, and I know this happens because it's happened to me, and I've told this story many times, and people are like, "Yep, that happens." "I can't believe I had to ask you. It doesn't count when I have to ask you." Yeah, this isn't working, ladies. Not working. So that sums up a lot of relationships.
Yeah.
So I even forget what the question is, but I'm pretty sure that answered it.
I think it did too. I really do. What do you reckon some of the biggest unforeseen pitfalls when one person, especially a woman, I guess, because the
Yeah.
subject of your book and your own life experience, becomes a financial provider in a relationship? Do you think
Oh, okay.
pitfalls along the
So
lines of like resentment and dependency,
yeah,
imbalance, things like that?
this is a very good question too, actually. So let's just say since beginning of not AC or whatever when after Christ, for the last let's just say 82 generations, averaging on 25 years apiece of generations since that time. And traditionally, they've been patriarchal and the woman stayed home. I mean, if you think about it, women in America, I'm pretty sure Australia is probably behind this, only got the power to vote and own land in 1963. For 1963 years, a woman couldn't own land. And now she can in the last 40 or 50. So there's a lot of things happening in the US where there are more women making more money. And we have an additional problem, which I don't know if you have in Australia, where all the women that are now making the money are saying there's no good men. There's no good men available on the planet. And we can look at the facts and say men going to college is dropping, women's participation in college is rising. We can see that it's still entirely unequal, but now there's maybe 16% of CEOs in top Fortune 500 companies. But this transition, like, it's really only been happening for about 50 years, but really only in the last 25. So it's extremely new. 25 years ago is about, well, I inherited the money about 22 years ago, but you see, we're expecting things to be totally normal, and they're not. And I'm like, well,
What's
duh.
normal?
Yeah, we're creating a new normal, this might be a temporary normal, and then we'll create another one where women have to figure out how to hold the purse strings. And I know two women specifically who are my friends who are both extremely wealthy. And they didn't inherit it. They did it through their earning power. And both of their boyfriends, one of them's a poor surfer. They live in Mexico, and she completely 100% supports him. The reason why she 100% supports him is because he is so kind and loving. He does trims the flowers. He makes sure the cat is like brushed. He makes her dinner. The same thing in the other case, where if she needs to travel, which she does a lot, and she's got heavy suitcases, she's like, Glenn, you're coming with. And Glenn's like, okay, dear. And so, if in the situation where women give more money to men expecting, like paying attention to their potential, where they're not really working that hard. And as my one son said about a boyfriend, all he does is sit on the couch and watch golf and eat Cheerios in his underwear. That's not what you really want to, have
That's
as a
not a
boyfriend.
good mind's eye picture.
You think? That came from the mouth of a 13-year-old at the time. I was like, oh, it's okay. Eventually, I saw it. And I loved him to death. Loved, loved, loved all of them. I wrote about three specific ones and then a smattering of others and then business relationships. But each one of them I loved. I thought I could fix. I thought I could, make them successful. Um, and that didn't work. I currently have a boyfriend who's lives in Morocco, and he's lovely to me. We don't have any problems around money yet. There might be, but I'm prepared to deal with them this time. And we'll see how long it lasts, but it's a beautiful arrangement and I'm very happy. So it's the first time I've come out publicly and said that anywhere. Um, so
Beautiful.
my team is
Thank you
probably
for
going to
sharing
go,
that.
what
That's lovely.
is she talking about? But it really is true. I found someone so in a relationship as a female that holds the purse strings. Your job is not to give up the shop on the first day. One, two, you know, get to know somebody and how they respond and are they kind and do you, you were telling me about your current relationship and it just sounded so loving and beautiful, Rodney, which I was like, oh, that's so cool. So, it's really about finding the love. It's not about the purse strings. I'll tell you what, there is more challenge to holding the purse strings as a woman because we don't have any practice doing it.
Yeah.
There's no good role models. What role model did I have when I was growing up, when I was 47? None. There's more now, but not a lot in comparison. So we're a little bit of the minority here,
Yeah.
trying to learn to navigate this. So, and I think that we deserve really a lot of empathy. Everyone gives me shit and they're like, "Oh, you make so much money. You're so lucky. You don't have to do anything." And I was like, "We want to come to my life and see what not doing something looks like because it's awfully busy to me." Um, so, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
And
don't. I don't think there's any issue with making a lot of money myself, whether you're a man or a woman. But it's definitely important to educate yourself around how to handle money and how to handle money within in an intimate relationship. And I think it should be something that both partners, you know,
talk
share,
about,
talk about, and share on a daily basis to be able to help each other make the best decisions around it, whatever
yes,
decisions may need to be made around money,
yes.
because it affects our lives every minute of every day. Even when you're asleep, it's affecting you, whether you
Yeah, it
believe it
is.
or not.
I have a little bit of an interesting story. It's a little bit off topic, but it's right on. So I go to India and I meet this Ayurvedic doctor. Ayurvedic doctors you go to see if your body, if you're I don't even remember, a dosha or a whatever, to see if you are better to eat sweet potatoes or potatoes. So I didn't go there for that. It was $20 for 20 minutes. And I'm like, let's go check out what the dude has to say. And it was so funny. I filled out, this is just an aside, I filled out all these forms. Any of you have ever gone to an Ayurvedic doctor, they actually ask, do you have thick eyebrows or thin eyebrows? Is the bridge of your nose wide or small? What is I'm like, I answered 10 pages worth of questions. And I always laugh because on all medical forms here in the US, name, date of birth, social security number, single, married, divorced, I was like, why does the foot doctor care if I'm single? I'm not really sure. But anyway, so I had teased about that. And I go up there to listen to this guy, and he's like, the only thing he looks at out of the 6 pages of stuff is, why are you single at 59? I was like, oh my God. So he gave me some tips, which I think are great for relationship. Is he says, in the West, you people are looking for the wrong thing. You're looking to find your soulmate. And then you'll do the 4 steps that he said you have to do first: dedication, discipline, commitment, and communication. I love the idea that you're bringing forward of communicating on a regular daily basis about love and money and relationships and all these different things. But he's like, you guys are trying to find your soulmate, and then you'll do all those things. He's like, why don't you go find a partner and be dedicated, disciplined, communicate, and be committed to, and then you'll find love. I was like, wow, that's a great idea.
Makes it sound pretty simple too, doesn't it? Just lay it out for you like that. And I guess, like most things in life, it is simple, but it's not easy.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Anyway, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you. I'm just so excited to see where this is going to go for you and how you can influence people to, really understand their financial literacy and how to make the best choices out of what they have, to give, and learn how to save and do some things that will ultimately uh, really support good sense of personal responsibility, which is reflects right back onto your self-worth, which helps you to make more money. It's all a cycle. It's either down or it's up.
Yeah.
So might as well choose the up one. It's just as hard as the down one. So pick one.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. Well said. Um, you teach women how to say no without guilt. Why is setting boundaries so hard for so many people, especially when money's involved? Why do people confuse generosity, do you think, with obligation?
Yeah, so one, I think out of all of those, well, the women tend to take things personally more than men. We have a whole long conversation going on there with two people, sometimes more.
I
And
agree with that.
yeah, they wake up before you wake up, and they're busy talking about how you didn't get enough sleep, and how what are you going to do? But I didn't get enough done. How I have such a big day ahead of me. Be quiet for a minute. But anyway, I'm sorry, you have to repeat the question.
I just in how to teach women to say
Say
no
no.
without guilt,
Yes, got it.
and
So I
why
think that
people, especially involved with money.
yes, so men have just as big of a problem saying no. And you got to remember that I've been listening to a lot of I've like you, Rodney, I listen to so many podcasts and read so many books and stuff. And we relate uh net worth to money only, rather than looking at net worth as far as how many people that are in your family that you love, how uh like educated that you, whatever things turn you on. There's a lot of things out there that are, we've learned to associate, wealth with money. There's wealth of success, there's wealth of, uh, family values, there's wealth of all kinds of different things. So
Yes, there is.
um I think that, well, in my personal case, I felt guilty because I felt that, why was I the chosen one? Why was I the one that got all the money? Which is perfect to go with my low self-esteem. So I felt a responsibility. I gave some of the boyfriends, but I also took care of a lot of people because I was like, it's not fair. You know what, Rodney? Life's not fair. It's just
Yes.
not.
No, it's not.
God gives you whatever, I didn't consciously get to choose where I was born and who my father and mother would be and how that was going to go for them. Not consciously, I just arrived. And so part of my lesson in this lifetime, because frankly, I think you do come back over and over again. So you might as well learn the lesson you have to learn this time. Maybe next time I can come back as a big fat black cat or something. Um, Wouldn't that be great? Just sit around and
Well,
get
why
toys,
not? Be certainly different anyway.
feed you, you don't have to just love up on people when you feel like it because they're cats. Um, so I think that saying no is really hard. Even like this one man was just telling me the other day, he's like, my parents want me to come over to their house again. I was just there like 2 days ago and I have to work. Well, he can't figure out how to say no to them, so he keeps going back. But eventually it's going to kill him. He's not going to be able to go at all. So, it comes down to very small things. And when you have money, my experience is that not everybody. I know a lot of people that have money and don't give anything to anybody. Now, that's not very attractive to me. If you're so selfish that you can't willingly give back to the community, to, people in your life, then I mean, it's like, don't bother me. But I think for me, being a very loving and generous person, that I also have to be responsible because the problem is that if you give and then you feel badly about it, like I told you about the boyfriend and the money,
Yep.
I didn't want to give it anymore. I wanted all the money back. Yeah, well, I wasn't going to get all the money back.
No.
So it's really important before you give that you go through the personal responsibility of saying, does this feel right? And, I've learned in a lot of cases, sometimes I wait. I don't say yes immediately. I was trying to get on this influential women thing, and I finally figured out they wanted money from me. And I don't even know if they're a real thing. I mean, there's so much scam out there. So
Yeah.
I said, let me get back to my staff and we'll let you know. And then I'll have them go do a bunch of research. And if it's worth it, it's not very much money, but I'm not just willy-nilly gonna do something because somebody asked for it. If I want to if I know that my friend doesn't have as much as I do, and it's very clear, I know where they live, I know what they do, then I don't care. I'll take her out every time. And then maybe she does something nice for me, like gives me a ride somewhere when I need it to the airport, and that's payment enough. If she doesn't give me the ride over and over again, then probably not going to keep taking her out to lunch. So you really have to, I think, just going in slowly with things if you are lucky enough to have made some money,
Yeah.
and not just giving up the shop and then being upset over it.
Yeah, for
Now you
sure.
have no money and you're upset. It's not a good plan. And I've been there. I know that plan.
Yeah. For sure. Well said, mate. And I guess that ties into like this next question I was going to ask. And basically, I think we covered it fairly well in how much of our relationship with money is actually tied to our sense of self-worth and identity. And and we definitely covered it, you know. And do you think in regards to that, can people sabotage wealth without realizing it? Yeah, you know?
Oh yeah. People lose it all the time. No, can you repeat the first question? Because I actually have something to say around that.
As in how much of our relationship with money is actually tied to our sense of self-worth and identity.
Yeah, it's so the myth is that if you have a lot of money, you're going to be happy. That's the myth, right? That's what everyone
No,
believes. I
no.
ask people all the time, what happens if you win the lottery? I've asked hundreds and hundreds of people. And they're like, well, I'm going to buy a boat, but then I'm going to, like we're going to put a down payment on the house, but then we're going to take the rest of the money and put it in savings. I've never met a person that I've asked, and as I said, I've asked hundreds of people that says, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of wait and see how it goes. Everybody that I've ever talked to has a plan for when they're going to get that big landfall, windfall of money. We can talk, right? Um, and they've already got it planned out what they're going to do. So that is a pitfall, because you think that's why social media is like everyone's more popular than you are. And you're sitting on your couch, everyone has more money. Look at the rich people. They don't have anything to worry about. Well, you don't even know that that's true. And by the way, why don't you get busy cleaning up your own side of the street and make some money of your own? is really the helpful way to do it. And even me, like I'm not that wealthy. I hang around in a community where, whoo, there is a lot of money. And I could
Yeah.
easily say, well, if I had that much money, then I would be really happy. I wouldn't have to work so hard. I don't know if that's true or not.
No,
I
I
have
don't.
no
I
idea.
don't believe it is. They say that there's an awful lot of wealthy people, very wealthy people who are very miserable.
I mean, look at
Have a
these
look
are
at
two
some of the
people.
poorest people in the world, and they get around
I'm
with
so
huge
happy.
smiles on their face every day.
I love Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade. She made the purses, and he was the man that traveled all over the world, eating and drinking and living the best life, and he didn't get fat. That's the most amazing thing out of it. Both of those people, they died within a month of each other. I just met somebody that knows Anthony Bourdain just today, and they
Oh,
confirmed what I believed that he killed himself because of an emotional love problem. Fell in love with someone, probably drinking and drugging as well to drown the problems. But
yeah,
Kate Spade was like she makes purses. You have purses, Kate Spade purses, and she goes to Australia too. Um, and she also had emotional upset. She had more money than God. Why did she kill herself? Why did Anthony Bourdain that could, like eat and drink and not gain weight and travel to Italy and have this wonderful life, kill himself? Well,
yeah,
if money really made you happy, I mean, we could go on and on about all the people that kill themselves. Musicians are way up there.
yeah.
Um, if they're so happy, why are they killing themselves? Doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, and it's certainly not the money that's making them happy, is it? So you've got to come back to that, your
Self-worth.
self-worth and your identity, and building your relationship around that money, and finding what actually will work for you in regards to your happiness. And
Right. And
money
let me
definitely
tell you,
money definitely can make life a lot easier for us. There's no
yeah,
doubt about that. The more you have,
I'm all
the easier it
your
is. But
audience. Yeah, your audience just needs to listen to you to learn to make the money. Go for it. Money's not bad.
no,
It's a good thing. It helps
that's a
you.
good thing. And there's an overabundance of it in this world. There really is. They just keep printing more and more of it every day. There is so much of it out there. It's not funny. And God, I believe, put us, provides an overabundance of everything in this world. So you should never be short of anything. And if you
No,
are, ultimately, you should stop and look at yourself as to, well, why are you not abundant in certain areas? What do you need to do to find the abundance that is actually out there for you?
yeah. And a lot of times we don't find abundance because we get so happy in our little world, even though it doesn't work, that we don't want to make a different choice because that's going to be hard because that's doing something differently.
We
It's
get
not
caught
just
up. I
about
feel we get terribly caught up in very negative emotions and negative
right.
thoughts.
I mean,
For
that
some
was my
reason,
whole
as humans, we seem to really wallow in that place for some reason, and it's not a good place to spend your time wallowing like a pig. It's really not.
no.
Well, we're starting to run up on time here today. So then, rattle through two more quick ones, I think, and so we don't burn up too much of your precious time.
Thank
If
you.
you could go back and sit down with your younger self before the inheritance, what are the biggest truths about money, love, and self-worth you wish someone had taught you?
Mm. Well, that's an excellent question. Well, I had a very odd growing up around love and money, and I guarantee you that everybody listening to the show could say the same thing about their lives because it's just a weird thing. Love and money, and then intimacy is it's the next piece that just kind of throws everybody off, but you're not dealing with that as a child. I think that I just had such low self-worth because my dad was so, I think he loved me more than anybody on the planet, but he didn't know how to show it because his parents didn't treat him very well. And I look at all this now, look back and say it was the journey that I was on. So I'm not mad at him or my mother, how she just ignored everything. Um, and so I didn't. I don't know if somebody could have told me something back then. When the rubber really hit the road for me is when I inherited the money. So I was already grown up, but if my 66-year-old self could go back to my 47-year-old self, yeah, there would be a lot of things to say, because I could have prevented a lot of heartbreak and a whole lot of heartache, um, had I had some of the skills and tools I have now. And certainly the tools, the pillars, I could have used when I was 17, but I didn't know they were available for me. And
Yeah.
it's weird, like a lot of people go to therapy and therapists are kind of saying all the same thing like this, but somehow it's like what happened for me and what I want to gift this to anybody that's a bit interested is that I had this internal shift. It happened one day, one experience, one thing differently, and I was like, oh wow. Rather than having somebody dislike me and me feeling badly and whatever, I left and I was like, good job, self. And so, I would like to, I do help people. I don't do formal coaching with people because I travel all over the world, but I coach a lot of people. And I can apply this stuff to anybody, any situation, anywhere, and have it come out to be good. And so sometimes I have to coach people to do something, sometimes to fix something over here, they have to do something over here.
Yeah.
Like the relationship's bad with the mother because she doesn't want to, like, she's not doing the work fast enough on her house. And I'm upset because I want her to go so she can sell it, so she can give it to me, basically. But what I'm doing over here in my life is I'm not hurrying up with the things that I need to do. And I'm not, I sometimes I can figure these things out because I just knew about this part and then I got this part and I'm like, oh, you know what? The way to fix that one is to go over here and you fix your world.
Yeah.
She wanted to move somewhere and she hasn't done it for like 8 years. And I'm like, well, you expect your mother to do something differently? You do something differently. Either say go and move or stop talking about it.
Yeah. Again, comes back to that point that we talked about earlier on, that the only way anything changes is if you change. You have to
Exactly.
make the changes. Otherwise,
Yes.
nothing changes. It just keeps staying the same over and over
Keep
and over
staying
and
the
over
same. And,
again.
as I said, we feel comfortable in the same over and over again. But I'm telling you that there is freedom in trying something differently. Sometimes I coach people and I'm like, I don't care what you do. Sit on the other side of the couch if that's different, or go to work a different way. You have to train yourself to be willing to do something different, even though when you're driving in a different path, you don't know where you're going as well. One, it's great for your mental capacity, especially as you get older. But two, see what happens. Maybe you'll figure out there's a really fancy donut store in your way that you just love, and you could stop in there every day and have coffee. And if you'd never driven that way, never done anything differently, you wouldn't have known about the donut store.
You could be like Anthony Bourdain and eat as many donuts as you want
Exactly.
and
I
not
was
get
like,
fat.
I mean, that, like half of our world is overweight and trying to get underweight, right? Or
Yeah.
ideal weight. And Anthony Bourdain, that's what it cracks me up because, it wasn't just the travel, it was the fact that he ate all these wonderful restaurants all over the world and he didn't get fat. I watched the movie. He wasn't fat. Um, so
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We'll make this the last one, I think. And I'll
okay.
have to shut up shop and let you go for the day because you're a busy lady and you've got a lot to do. For someone listening right now who feels stuck, maybe financially or emotionally or relationally, what's the first honest conversation that they need to have with themselves, do you think?
Hmm. Well, make an inventory of where you're at, a real inventory of where you're really at, possibly setting some goals of where you want to go once you have to admit to yourself where you're at, because otherwise, where are you going to move from?
Yeah.
And I mean, go get you can go to my website at SuzanneLeydecker.com. I'm sure it's in your show notes. And I just did these 11 tips for saying no by text. Darn if I have this sitting on my desk, right? It's just 11 tips for saying no, but the reason why it's on my desk is because I learned to say no because I practice other muscles. And I just gave someone a big no, which normally I would have said yes, but I was like, I can't do it. I can't. So I think, yes, starting at the beginning. And also, like Rodney and I we were talking before about listening to, I like to listen to Audible books. You do because you drive, but however you like to, whatever. There is so many people out there that are giving such rich information. Put it
Oh
into
yeah,
ChatGPT if there's a certain subject that you want to know about, go listen to a book. Stop listening to the stuff in your head, that just keeps you stuck.
yeah.
There's just so many resources. I learn all the time about things from reading. So really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Beautiful. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
All right, legends. What a powerful conversation, eh? That there today, Suzanne Leydecker brought a really honest perspective, I believe, on money and self-worth, boundaries and the emotional side of relationships. Like it's stuff that we need to face up to and you need to take personal responsibility for and really dig into. Money can really amplify who we are, I believe, without a doubt, our fears, our patterns, our strength and our wounds, most of all. It really brings them to the forefront, I think, and most of the time we tend to run away from them things. So before we finish up today, Susan, can you just tell people where they can find you, mate? I know you just mentioned a little bit before, but really lay it out there so people can find you, because I believe they desperately need to find you and your book
Yeah,
and what you're teaching, mate, and sharing.
but that's great. I am on LinkedIn, all social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are the four that I focus on. And on any of those, particularly Instagram. And if you friend me to let me know, hey, I listened to you. I want more information. I'm very open to giving people my time and, within reason, because we don't want to give up the shop again. But there's a Linktree link there, and it takes you to all the podcasts I've done, it takes you to my book, it takes you to other work that you can see that can be hopefully beneficial I do a lot of podcasts, so they're all over the world. For
Awesome.
some reason, I was telling Rodney I've done 4 in Australia in the last 3 months. So good on you for trying to make your world a better place. Um, so there's plenty of ways to find me. And if you go also through my website, which I'm sure will be in your show notes,
Yeah,
then
it certainly will.
you can get to all this stuff too. It's all tightly. I have a really good team of people, loving ladies that help me to keep my stuff organized in ways in which people can find me. So I'd love to hear from you. Any comments, any suggestions, anything. I'm completely open 100% to growing and learning from others. I know what I think.
Yeah,
I'd love to know what you think.
yeah, hell yeah, I agree totally, wholeheartedly, mate. The more we share, the more we can all learn together and just keep,
Listen, I've learned some stuff from you just today. I've got
likewise.
some recommendations, and I was like, all right, I've actually learned a lot. So that's been great. So thank you.
Yeah, this happens for me every time I have these wonderful conversations. So
That's
it's
great.
awesome. Really enjoy it, and as I hope the listeners do too. And I
Yeah.
definitely can't suggest strongly enough. People get out there, have a look at some of Suzanne's stuff, and get her book, and especially get them 11 resources that you've got there to say no. It's so important to learn how to say no.
Yes, it
Anyway,
is.
folks, you know what you got to do, eh? If you like the show, hit the like button, share and follow, and yeah, keep fighting for truth, freedom, and building a legacy for your family, eh? And keep on stacking.
This has been another episode of The Rodney Bull Show, a Rebel Edge production. Please share with your family and friends, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review.